Yo, yo, yo. Good evening, everyone. Good evening, Joseph. Good evening to everyone that is here with us tonight. We are,
Good evening, guys.
yeah,
Welcome back to another Lockdown Live. We are so happy to have you guys here, and we are really excited. Jen, what is Lockdown Live? Can we tell them one more time?
what is Lockdown Live? So, Multispective, we've started a new series called Lockdown Live. We got a bunch of requests from our listeners of our podcast, wanting to know about what's going on in Shanghai, where we've disappeared off to, and what is going on over here. What's on the inside of the city. And so we decided that we would start a Lockdown Live series. We come on every Monday from 7 to 8 p.m. We go on live and we just have conversations about, weekly stories, and we talk about what's going on over here, things like food scarcity, things like, inability to go out, things like, all the different kinds of things. So it's fun. It's been quite an interesting journey. It's a little bit different from what we did with our podcast. It's much lighter, it's more fun, it's very interactive. Joseph, anything you'd like to add to that?
Yeah, Lockdown Live has been our fix. We love interviewing people, and it's been really hard to do these interviews without our studio, but we are making do. So far, this is our third episode, and we thank every guest that has been on it so far, and we hope we get some more guests, and we'd love to hear your story and share your story and basically showcase what it's been like living in Shanghai for this lockdown 2022, and just paint a more humane picture of who we are and what we do during this lockdown. So I'm really happy that we can get together and do this project, and I'm so happy that we have our community who's always participating. So thank you guys again. So we do have a special type of format. Jen, would you like to share that format?
Sure. And also, before, and if you guys had not heard about what we do, Multispective, we are actually a team of three, very, very passionate about a common cause, which is sharing people's stories, sharing people's insights, getting a message out there. In every episode, there is some really great learnings of different people who've gone through some kind of trials and tribulations in their own lives and have come out the other side better, stronger, wiser, and with some knowledge to impart. So that's sort of where we did start, where we came about. And we've decided to then carry on with this new series, this Lockdown Live series. But we will be back to the podcast, so stay tuned. If you haven't listened to it, we've already got about 5 episodes up, and we've got a lot more really interesting content to come out. But that's until we can open our studio again and we can get back to the studio space and start recording again.
Yeah, really check out these episodes because we put our heart and soul into these episodes, and we loved every single episode, and we have so much more in store. So we do hope in the future, when we are able to access our studio, we will keep releasing content. But for now, Lockdown Live is what we have. So we're really excited for what the future holds for Multispective.
Yeah. And it's quite cool what we've done, because I feel like we bring on different people on every episode in the Lockdown Live. We invite different people to interview them, which is exactly what we do with our podcast, except it's more focused on the whole lockdown situation. But that is something that we've grown to really love over the few months that we've been doing this. And so we decided to just take a little twist and turn and focus on the Lockdown Live for the moment. So we do have a structure of or a format of our Lockdown Live. So I'm going to just explain that to you very quickly before we start the show. It starts off with a story of the day. If you guys remember, we did that last week, and we will be continuing with that. So we'll have a short story of the day, which we'll share with you. And then we have a very, very special guest that's going to be on show. Some of you guys are probably already aware of it, as we sent out some promo videos earlier. Yes, so we're going to be having a really cool, interesting guest. Feel free to, during the interview, when he's on, to ask any questions. Just drop your questions in the discussion box. And if at the end of the interview, during the Q&A session, your questions will pop up on screen, and we can discuss them and have conversations with our guest about that. So yes, the person we're going to be interviewing today is Jacobie, and we're super excited to have him. Yes, he's a really cool guy. So the very last part is we would like you guys to all tune in to be able to have access to us. So we'll give you guys all our links right now. Of course, if you want to be a part of our community or group, you can subscribe to us on YouTube. A lot of you guys are following us already. You're probably commenting right now through YouTube. Our YouTube page is Multispective Podcast. That's how you can find us there. Definitely subscribe, because when you do subscribe, it'll pop up every time you open YouTube when there is a live video. So it makes it a lot easier for you guys as well. You can also follow us, subscribe to us on Apple. And Apple is where we post our podcast episodes. So you can listen to our episodes if you've got an Apple phone. We're Multispective.org. You can also follow us on Spotify, called Multispective, or Instagram, Multispective.org. Again, on Instagram, we post all of the updates, everything that you might need to know about our episodes or about our Lockdown Live. If you want to go back and listen to it again, you can always click through the links on our Instagram page. You can also contact us there if you'd like to be a part of our show, if you'd like to be interviewed yourself, if you think you've got a great story to share. And then we're also active on Facebook. We've got a Facebook group page called Multispective. So definitely lots of areas and platforms to find us on. Now, for the story of the day.
Yes. So this segment
It's been day 56 of lockdown, or possibly day 65. I really lost count, probably because I've run out of space on my wall. I am probably never getting my security deposit back. While Elon Musk casually bought Twitter the other day, I'm having trouble securing a bucket of KFC. You don't even have to be a bucket. I'll take a 2-piece with a biscuit. Please, Colonel, please. Those of you viewing us from overseas may not know this, but Multispective is a podcast born and bred in Shanghai. It is our home base, and this is where we thrive. But you've been stuck under a rock for the last few months, you may not know that the city of Shanghai has been under a strict lockdown. And you have been in lockdown with us. Where have you been getting your groceries? The contact blocked me because my shopping list is filled with non-essential items. I really just need some chocolate-covered raisins. But this brings us to our story of the week. Food. We love to eat it, and we hate washing the dish it was served on. Living in Shanghai does provide its conveniences. We have apps like Ulama and Meituan that allow people to order pretty much anything and it delivered straight to our door. The majority relies on apps such as these. But because of the citywide lockdown, people cannot leave their compounds, and the delivery men and women who work for these delivery apps who aren't locked down are bombarded with orders, which means it's sometimes nearly impossible to secure an order from one of these apps. It's been hard for families to secure food when they cannot leave their compound, and it becomes even more frustrating when you can't order it through an app. And I order everything from these apps. I mean, everything. My order history is pretty shameful, and I will probably take that to my grave. There are more than 20 million people living in Shanghai, and you can only imagine how overwhelmed these delivery apps like Ulama or Meituan can become. Not to mention that most grocery stores and markets have been closed to the general public because of the lockdown. Some communities have formed group buying collectives where one person can set up a bulk order of items. Stores are more likely to cater to these group purchases because of the high demand of food and the low supply of delivery drivers. These group orders are keeping the stores that are open in business and allowing people to survive during the lockdown. You would think we would have learned from the first lockdown back in 2020 and the doomsday bunker of rations. But unfortunately, some people didn't have enough time to prepare, and now lots of people are struggling. Most people who don't have access to these apps or can't find other resources have to rely strictly on the government's rations that were sent. But these rations don't seem to reach everyone in Shanghai, and again, it can be frustrating. So frustrating that things that aren't related to food start to look like food. It really gives a whole new meaning to, man, he looking like a real snack right now. Although food has been scarce for some, things are starting to look up in Shanghai. We're starting to see some neighborhoods open up again. Hopefully, I'll continue to stay optimistic as this chef here. He actually has the decency to not beg the colonel for some chicken. You with these two questions. How has finding and securing food been for you during the lockdown? And natively, how have you been using your rations?
All right, guys. Apologize for the audio quality. This is our first time doing this segment, and hopefully you got the gist. We were basically talking about food in Shanghai and how it's been scarce. So next time we'll definitely have it a lot better. But yeah, we were talking about how it's been tough getting food during the Shanghai lockdown. And if you didn't catch that, people have not been getting their government rations and people are struggling. And things that aren't food start to look like food, which is why you saw Max over there looking like a snack. But yeah, so how has getting food been for you, Jenica?
I do have to say it was a little bit difficult at certain points, and it is really nerve-wracking when you are finding yourself starting to run out of items in your kitchen, and you are just having to like scrape together whatever pieces that you can get to feed yourself. I was lucky that at the very beginning of the lockdown, the government did announce a couple of days before the official lockdown on the first that there was going to be a lockdown, and they did warn people to stock up on food. But obviously, the other side to it is that it extremely quickly started to like empty out all the supermarkets. I don't know if any of you guys got a chance to go to the supermarket during the few days before the lockdown, but there was not a single day that I went there where there was actually like vegetables I could get. So trying to order it online was really difficult as well. So I ended up just like picking up whatever I could, whatever was available on the shelves. But I was lucky that I had some stuff still at home that I was able to use. Of course, we all anticipated that this lockdown was only going to be for 5 days. So people thought that if we stock up for 5 days, we should be sufficient. Obviously, that's not quite the case. So yeah, I would say it was quite difficult. Now, what about for you, Joseph?
Yeah, I mean, I do enjoy cooking, and I feel like if anything, it's made it more challenging to cook. I had to cook with what I had in my pantry. So I guess in a way, it helps me be a little more creative with what I'm cooking. So it's just like a lot of substitutions or just removing ingredients from my recipes. I do enjoy cooking curries, but sometimes I cannot get all my ingredients to create my curry. But you make do with what you got.
Yeah, for sure.
It's been tough, but we are adapting, so I'm
Yeah.
happy.
You
It
mentioned
ain't too
earlier about, you enjoy cooking, you like the creative aspect of it. So what are some creative things that you've had to do with the stuff that you've had, with the food that you've had?
I make a really good lamb curry. I don't have my lamb. The only thing that I had in store was some pork belly, and this pork belly, I never really cook pork, but I substituted it into my curry, and it was probably like one of the best curries I've had.
Yeah.
And it's just like you got to make do with what you got. I think you were talking to me about some like anything can be a noodle dish, right? And you're just putting
Right.
any sauce
Yeah.
on noodles, and it kind of works.
Yeah, for sure.
It's pretty cool.
There is an app, and unfortunately, it's not in English, it's in Chinese, but where you can actually input the ingredients that you have at home, and it will put together what you can make out of the ingredients that you have at home. The only thing is that if you can't read Chinese, then you would have to translate it. But I've always wondered, like, why, or if there is, but why have I never come across any kind of app like this in English? Like, there should be something out there where you can just put in what you have in your kitchen, and then like it'll come up with some kind of like dish ideas.
Yeah, I mean, it's a genius idea. I wish I had that up. It would make
Yeah,
life so much easier. Would know
yeah,
what to cook.
yeah.
Yeah, since we're on the
Creative
topic of
choices.
food,
Uh-huh.
and getting rations and gathering things, I think you have a interesting guest to introduce.
Yes, that is correct. Shall we go ahead and introduce him? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so for today's interview, we obviously have a very special guest. And for those of you that are locked down in Shanghai, you probably at some point heard about the Don't Eat Me memes that's gone completely viral around the city. We obviously don't want to give away too much. We want to save that for the interview, but like, no kidding, guys. His story and the meme has reached several platforms, like the famous online expat magazine, That's Shanghai, on delivery apps like Alama. Apparently, he popped up there. He's been on several different interviews on YouTube and different platforms. T-shirts have been made of the "Don't Eat Me" meme and have been sold around town. So, Jacob, we are so excited to have you here. Welcome.
Yo, Jacobie, how
Hello.
are you, man? How are you
Yeah,
doing?
I'm doing
Jacobie.
well. How about yourself?
Very good, man. Very good. I feel like I'm in the presence of a celebrity right now, man. Guys, don't get starstruck.
You're making me blush, bro.
People have
Man,
been raving about this. Like, so many people have asked me as well, like, are you gonna get Jacobie at some point? Because of the last episode when we introduced you and we talked about your story. And so, you know, your wishes are command kind of situation.
It's good to be on the show and nice to meet you all. And thank you for inviting me.
Oh man, we are humbled to have you here, man. How has life been living in Shanghai compared to you're from Chicago, right?
Yes, I am.
Yeah.
I would say like life in Shanghai is like cool. It's pretty similar to Chicago. The only thing I would say is that Chicago is kind of a much faster pace, but that's because Chicago is in the West and the Western world is a much faster pace than the Eastern world.
All right.
Yeah.
Chicago's a pretty big city. Does it feel as big as Shanghai when you're in Shanghai?
Man, that's I would say Chicago has a population of like 3 million. And Shanghai, as we all know, has a population of like 25 million or something like that. But I would say the Shanghai feels smaller at times because I don't know what it is. I think it's just like the pace of the city. Uh, yeah, so yeah, it's definitely, even though it's bigger, it can feel smaller at times.
Yeah, for sure. What brought you to Shanghai? Like, what attracted you to?
I would say probably it's a bigger city and also more job opportunities. Because I originally lived in Hefei, which is in the Anhui province, and after spending a year there, I kind of just wanted to like explore more options and just be in a bigger city. So Shanghai was the next place for me to explore.
Right. Yeah.
How
Best
long have you
decision
been?
of your life.
How long have you been out here in Shanghai?
I've been here since 2020. So the January of 2020, I came like right before COVID really started to happen here.
Mhm. Yeah.
That's tough.
That was the first lockdown in Shanghai, wasn't it?
Say that again. I'm sorry.
That was the first sort of mini lockdown in Shanghai, wasn't it?
Yeah. It was, but it wasn't as bad the first time around. You know, it's pretty light on the first time around compared to this time around. So yeah, the first time was just like you stay at home for like a few weeks, and then after that, you were able to kind of like venture out and explore. And even during like the whole lockdown, you were still able to go outside and just like the trains and everything. You could still be able to have like access to public transportation, catch DDs, of course, and yeah, just basically walk around. But now it's like a
Right.
much world now.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's completely different, man. I wish I could trade, 2020 for 2022.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, yeah.
And you could like order
Time
food
as well,
offline,
right?
so
Like,
it's also a good
yeah,
thing
true.
as well.
And the fact that the first one started in Jan, that was like around the time where a lot of people's like were beginning to get their, like, I think it's holiday time for a lot of people,
Yeah.
right? So a lot of people were able to sort of get out of China and like, miss the whole lockdown experience.
Yeah.
And yeah.
Mhm.
So Jacobie, why don't you tell us a little bit about, what got you like so big in Shanghai?
I would say just the viral conversation about the don't eat me thing.
Mhm.
Yeah, it was just like it was just weird how everything happened. You know, I'm still surprised about it, to be honest. Um,
Can you
I
tell
can
us
just
the story from the beginning? Like, how did it all happen?
so yeah, I can tell you all. So I was doing an online workout at the time. So my online workout was from 6 to 7, and also before that, I'm in my building's group chat, and there it was just like we will have just like updates about what's going on, whether if we're going to like do some group ordering to get uh, some food within the building and different things like that. And once I was finished with my workout, I went to the group to see if there was any update on like any type of group ordering that will go on. So I read like the previous messages because my workout was an hour, so my neighbors, they were already talking. So I read the previous messages, and I translated the messages as well. And then I saw this one message where this guy, he was like, well, I'm running out of meat, and we can always eat the black guy on the seventh floor. And so that's when I just I didn't know if it was a joke or, if he was serious, but I just kind of took it as a joke right there. So that's when I replied, "Don't eat me." And the guy replied, Chinese. And then that's when I replied, "Why do you want to eat me?" And then, like, fortunately, it was like a guy in the group chat as well. And he took a screenshot of it. And I guess he sent it to a friend, and that friend sent it to a friend. And like the next night, I was just like chilling, watching TV. And he texted me. He was like, "Hey, bro, like, you're going pretty viral right now." And I was just like, "How am I going viral right now?" Then he showed me this screenshot that you have posted right now. And I was just like, wow. And from there, everything just took off from there.
Right. I think that you handled it like that you made light of the situation, but you also kind of like dissipated it, and just made humor out of it, which was kind of what turned it into something that was a lot like lighter, and it turned into a meme, and it was something that people laughed about. But how did
Yeah.
you feel when you first sort of saw that message?
I was like I didn't know how to feel, like, to be honest. Well, I didn't know like what to think about it, because I was like, is this guy joking? Or then again, this guy could be serious, because during that time, the food situation was pretty bad. So I was just like kind of thinking of both, like, yeah, he could be joking, or this guy could be serious. So I was like perplexed on like whether to be serious or just like think of it as a kidney type of joke from him.
Mm-hmm.
Mm. So after that all happened and you went viral, everybody heard about it, and you walk out into your hallway and you see this guy. Well, what happens? How did the conversation go from there?
Well, after we knew that like the whole conversation went viral, me and the guy, we talked about it. Even we talked about it at night, because I wanted to see like if he really needed food, or like, so because I had like extra food. I was like, "Bro, you don't have to." I got like vegetables here, like, so I was just like seeing like if he really needed food, and come to find out he had like plenty of vegetables. He was just like, "Oh, I just want some meat," and all these things. And yeah, and so we just like cleared it up like during that night. And then the next day, we were in our compounds group chat, and the guy, he tried to make the same joke again in that group chat, but the people of the compound, they started to shame him like really bad about it.
God damn. He didn't even ask you for your permission for the second joke.
I guess because he thought that he's seen that we cleared it up the night before, he tried to just use the same joke again. And so, people kind of took it serious, like, no, this is like a tough situation. Don't do any of that. This group is for love and not to spread negativity. So, yeah.
Yeah. Did he, when you guys had your one-on-one conversation, did he actually apologize? When you say clear the air, what exactly do you mean?
Like, so, I just had yeah, it's not okay. And at the same time, he didn't really say, "I'm sorry, I apologize" about the whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
Mm. Do you think he realized he was being, very disrespectful? Because when I read them, yeah.
I'm sorry. Yeah, I'm sorry for.
No, you're good. You're good. Because when I read the messages, like reading the way he was speaking, and I'm sure, like, I mean, English is not his first language, obviously, but the way he presented the message to you. He was like, "You're famous. Everybody's asking me about the black guy," and saying things like that. Do you think he, like, did you take offense to it? Is my question, I guess.
About the whole like eat the black guy situation, eat the black guy question,
Yeah.
or yeah, I definitely took offense to it because it's like I don't think you should just like single a person out because of that. So even though I kind of thought he was joking, I was just like, why do you just want to eat the only black guy in the building right now?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
Are
it was
you
just
the
like pretty.
only foreigner in your building? Like the only expat in your building?
I think it's like another guy from I want to say either Germany or somewhere in Europe, but I rarely see him, and I don't think people know that he lives in our building like that. But yeah, it's like two of us, two foreigners that stays in the building, that stay in the building.
Interesting.
Man. So did you discussion with him and like have a proper discussion and tell him like this is not, like, you told him you were offended and this isn't how people should talk to each other? Did you ever get to that conversation?
Yeah, so the next day, people in the building group chat, they're like, just trying to be like pretty make sense of the situation. So they were just telling people like, hey, this is not something to joke about like the black guy or whatever. So I had to go in the group chat and tell them like, well, you got to be aware that, not everyone, you have to be able to look at it from another person's perspective because you don't know exactly how that person's feel, And then I made the example like, let's just say you're the only like foreigner in another foreign land where you don't know anyone else, and then people are saying like, oh yeah, let's go eat the Chinese guy that live on the 7th floor. It's like you probably feel the same type of way, like kind of uncomfortable about the whole situation. Even though they're joking, it's just like you don't know these people or you don't know the particular way that they joke. So I had to like share that with them.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, because I mean, there's definitely some like racist undertones in that conversation and in the
Yeah, for
comments
sure.
that you made. But also, it's also kind of like knowing that, you know, maybe the whole thing could have just been an act of ignorance as opposed to a purposeful, like a purposeful, intentional comment, right? That was made. So it's also like trying to kind of decipher the difference because I think like the intention is where the gravity of the situation kind of really comes in, right?
Yeah.
Do you think that something like this could ever fly in like Chicago? If somebody was to say something like this in Chicago, even as a joke, how do you think it would be taken?
I think I think first of all that people wouldn't really make they wouldn't make a joke out in public like that. And if it was to be made, it would be a problem, to be honest. It's like I would say people to have a direct conversation with the person, about everything. But because we're in lockdown, it wasn't like really we really didn't have the opportunity to have like a direct conversation on the
Right.
whole thing, besides
Yeah.
like over text. But in
Yeah.
Chicago, it's like, guy, he just stays in the next thing, or like in the opposite building of me. I can just go over there and just say, hey, that's not cool for the most part.
Yeah, that's true.
So
Yeah.
Shanghai has like, it's pretty diverse here in Shanghai. I could only imagine things happening in Hefei. Did anything happen like this in Hefei when you were living there?
I mean, the only similar thing that happened, like, I mean, the only similar thing that pretty much happened in Hefei was just like people just stare at you, like if you're different. But you kind of expect that because Hefei, even though it's like a big city, not big as Shanghai, but like a city of like 11 million, it's not like they see, foreigners or like foreigners of color every day. So you kind of expect like people to just stare at you sometimes.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This kind of does remind me of, I mean, I feel like I remember this even back at home when the COVID situation first hit. There was a lot of like this disparity between like the locals and the foreigners, and it was a lot like, um, you've probably come in from another place and potentially brought the virus in. So we've got to be a little bit careful. And like, I remember it's not here in Shanghai, but it was back at home. I did kind of feel that a little bit, and I couldn't really place a finger as to whether it was just them being really cautious about the whole situation or whether it was like a personal, like an attack towards, anyone being foreign kind of thing. But
yeah, I really didn't feel the way how I really didn't feel that way, because that was more like a feeling in like 2020, when everything was first starting. That's when it was like kind of like people was just kind of try to blame the foreigners, like, oh yeah, you guys brung in here, so now they're quick to distance themselves from you. But I didn't feel it in this situation. It was like just pretty different.
Yeah.
Interesting. But I think it's great that this happened, because now you can share your voice. Like, I feel like a lot of foreigners who live here, like, it's a very homogenistic country. It's like this single race, and they easily judge, and the way they communicate with people, they just say what's on their mind without giving a second thought to what they're saying. But now, like, I mean, we shouldn't just be desensitized to it. Something has to be said, and like, you're kind of like prophetic in that way. Like, hopefully people see this and see Jacobie as like, oh yeah, that happened. We shouldn't treat people like this. So I mean, really, we are in the midst of a celebrity, a prophet. Your prophet.
Oh man, I want to say I'm a prophet, man. It's just like it's just something, it's just something that happened and just like became viral. So it's still pretty crazy though. So
but on a lighter note, like, what are some "Don't Eat Me" memes that you've seen that have kind of stood out to you?
Oh man, like saw like a couple about the "Don't Eat Thy Neighbor." That's like a pretty also I seen like when the neighbor like invites you to dinner and you find out it's the neighbor for 504. Also with of course with the shirts, and the Elmo one, that's like a pretty funny one as well. But yeah, it was just like a lot of random random memes, but they were all just hilarious though. People have a great sense of humor, and people are like pretty like creative as well. So
right,
really don't expect that at all.
Have they sent you some of this gear? I hope you're getting some shirts, man.
I mean, according to the people that were like in the process of making them, we had to kind of stop production because of the legal aspects of it. So I guess the authorities, they were like looking into it, so we had to kind of, they had to just stop that from being sold. So no shirts were delivered.
Oh, lame.
Yeah.
They're fresh though, man. They're fresh.
Yeah, I like them. I mean, I didn't see the one on the left yet. Like that's a new one. I haven't seen.
Oh, the one with the prayer hat?
That's a new one.
What was that Ulama thing? I was trying to look for it earlier. Like, couldn't find that. Was it like?
No, it was just a part of like the shirt like promotion. Yeah, that's what it was.
Oh. For those of you that are not in China and don't know what Ulama is basically like a food panda or delivery app. So it's where you can get like food. So that's why I thought it was a little bit like, what are they trying to do and why is it on like this delivery app? But I couldn't click into it or find it. So yeah, it's interesting. So crazy. So many crazy things.
Quick reminder to our audience, guys, Jacobie is here. So if you have any questions in our next segment, we're going to have a Q&A. So please ask some questions. I'm sure Jacobie would love to like shed some light.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I'm down for it.
Yeah, send the questions in the chat. It'd be great.
Yeah.
In that comment, it said you were getting your royalties. You got paid.
Oh, I mean, it's just like something I discussed with like one of the makers of the shirts. So, whenever it's back on, then then something will come back to me for the most part. So
yeah,
That's cool. I'm glad.
So,
I'm glad to kind of
how
help.
many times have you been approached since then to do interview shows or be on different platforms?
Several times, probably like, I don't know, like more than 7, 8 times now. It's pretty, yeah, it's pretty wild, like how many people have contacted me about the whole thing.
Amazing. So you've been on a couple of interviews. I know that you've
Mhm.
been on a couple of like on articles on like That's Shanghai. Um, you mentioned earlier you were asked to be in an NFT.
Well, I wasn't. I didn't ask to be in an NFT. A person reached out to me and just told me like, "Hey, we're interested in creating an NFT for you. Would you be interested in it?" So, I'm kind of into NFTs. Like, I don't have one. I haven't made one personally, but I was like doing lots of research, and I was just like, "Yeah, why not?"
Yeah.
This
Yeah,
is dope.
and as you can see, yeah. So this group reached out to me, and they're like, they're a charity group called Shanghai Sheen, I want to say, and they help people like get vegetables across Shanghai. And so one of the owners of the group, she reached out and asked like, "Hey, would you like for me to make you an NFT?" And I just agreed to it.
That's amazing. And
Yeah,
you own this NFT, like you didn't have to buy it
yeah,
from
yeah,
anybody.
yeah. It's mine. Yeah, yeah.
And like has the value gone up since then?
I don't think I haven't posted it yet. It's just I only posted it on my Twitter, but I haven't like actually posted it yet on my
Interesting.
NFT account. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah,
Man,
that's really cool.
Mm.
that's gonna be
Is this
worth some money.
yeah.
I hope
It's
so,
gonna be
man. Like
Get paid, man.
yeah, yeah. We'll see how everything goes.
yeah, so cool.
Yeah.
So we do have a couple of questions from the audience. Joe, producer Joe, do you think you can pull up some questions for us? Maybe Jacobie can answer some.
So here we go.
So Linda says, do you think it would have blown up if everyone wasn't cooped up at home?
I think not as really. Probably yeah, a little, but not as much as it has so far. I think it would have been like kind of I don't know, been like kind of popping for like at least a week and a half, but not. I don't think it would have been. People would have been as interested if we would have been able to go outside and do lots of other things.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think like things can happen like every week if you're out and about and doing other things. So yeah, I don't think it
Mhm.
would have blown up as much.
Yeah, I think like people are spending so much more time on their phones and on their computers
Yeah,
that like it's just like yeah.
exactly.
I
Yeah.
remember when I first saw it, I instantly shared it with my friends. I was like, they had to see this. It was just like intense when I read it. I was like, I didn't
Yeah,
know if I should laugh or be pissed. I
Yeah.
felt a
yeah.
little bit of both, and I was like,
Me
what's
too.
going on?
Yeah, yeah, it
Because
was like a lot of like mixed reactions. Like, it made lots of people
right,
laugh, and then also
Mhm.
lots of people were like kind of offended about it. So it was like a mixture of both.
Yeah.
right,
Mhm.
perfect recipe to
So
go viral.
there's a great question here by Ernest. Can you highlight some other issues similar to this that Black people tend to face here?
Oh yeah, like I said, like for example, the example I made when I was in Hefe, like people just staring at you, people taking pictures, and I have heard like other things that Black people go through. Like sometimes people just call them out their names. Fortunately, I don't know if anyone called me out my name. If so, I don't really understand. So, but I don't think anyone has. But I have heard that happen tons of times. Um, and yeah, it's just like sometimes just people can be just assholes. I'm sorry if
You're good. You're good.
you know yeah, sometimes people can just be jerks and just like do mean things or like just laugh, and behind like Black people backs or just try to talk about them. Yeah, it's pretty messed up though
Yeah.
at times, but it's just only a small percentage of people. It's not like it's everyone.
Mm.
It's just
Right.
like people that are like kind of closed minded or just idiots, in my
Right.
opinion.
Do you feel like there's particular difficulties with jobs? Have you ever heard of any like difficulties that?
Oh yeah, for sure. Like I think sometimes it can affect a person employment here. Is I know it's probably countless of times where like a black person can be have the same quality as a person of like as a white person, and they will probably choose the white person more than they choose the black person, and that's a real thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Lynn has this question, wondering if it's helped his dating life in any way. Has it helped your dating life?
I have a girlfriend, so
Sorry, Lynn. He's hiding.
Lynn's taking
Apologize.
Yeah.
All right. Jan Makoji, how has the lockdown in Shanghai changed your relationship with neighbors in your community?
I would say neighbors are, I wouldn't say neighbors are they're more welcoming. They're also like, it was tons of like English speakers that reached out to me, and we formed like an English speaking group within the community. So I think the relationship has grown stronger with like some of my neighbors. So I'm grateful for that. Yeah.
Nice.
That's awesome. Yeah. I really like the question that Stacy posted earlier. Are you sick of talking about "Don't Eat Me Yet"?
Yeah. When do you think you'd get sick?
I would say it depends on like the day, or like depending on the mood, or like if I'm constantly being bombarded by like questions about the whole thing. It's not like I'm like being bombarded, like people are asking me questions left or right. So it's okay now. But in the beginning it was like kind of annoying because, not saying because of the people, but because of the similar questions, or like the same questions, just having to retell the story over and over again. And I know that people are interested in the story, but once you retell a story over and over again, you kind of like, oh, okay, like it's like like a recurring theme, just continuing to play like over and over. It's just like, all right, man, I'm kind of bored to talk about the same thing.
How many times do you think you've told the story? Like if you
in the beginning, like I was retelling the story probably like I'll say the first few weeks, probably like 3 or 4 times a day, to be honest.
3 or 5 times.
Wow. How's it affected your lockdown experience?
I think it made time go by faster. Like this whole thing has been like pretty crazy, so it's definitely made time go by faster. It's definitely more jokes involved, and just add like I don't know, kind of like a breath of fresh air during this whole time.
Yeah, man. We thank you for that. Like you made light of the situation, and it's we appreciate it for sure. Max has this question: what would you do if you tried to make the joke a third time?
I was just asking, like, come on, bro. Are you tired?
Come on, bro.
Like the same joke. Like, come on now.
Yeah.
He's recycling at this point.
Yeah, I'm probably just I'm like, come on, man. Like, well, I wouldn't ignore him. I'll just be like, yeah, man, just move on. It's over.
Yeah. One hit wonder.
Yeah, exactly. It's just like, yeah, just go about your life, bro.
I really like this question, actually. How much control do you feel like you have over your own narrative?
I think I have pretty much majority control over, probably like close to 100% control over, because people are always reaching out to me to tell my side of the story. So I say like a pretty decent amount of control I have over my own narrative. It's not like it's anyone, making up stories or telling false stories about me. We're in lockdown, so I experience it, and people ask me about my point of view about the whole thing.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's pretty cool that you've made yourself very approachable as well, in that if people have questions, like you're open to having that conversation and like sharing your experience. So it also minimizes the rumor aspect of it, right?
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. I think it would be like kind of much worse if I wasn't as talkative to people, or if I was just like, I don't want to talk about it. And then that's when you leave room for people to like speculate and make
Yeah.
different stories about the situation.
Right. Has this affected your future in China? Like, do you think you'd like to stay here even longer, or you might?
Yeah, like, well, before the lockdown, I was thinking about, I'm still considering probably like leaving at the end of the year or beginning of the year. But yeah, it's definitely like affected it to where, I'm considering, staying longer, and we'll see about that.
Yeah.
Hopefully you stay here a little bit longer. We'd love to have you here.
Yeah.
Lynn has another question. How have people back home reacted to the incident?
I would say a lot of people don't really know about it, but the ones that I have told, like they'll just say like, "Wow, bro, that's crazy," and they'll be like, just ask me about the whole situation, how everything had happened, and like, yeah, it seems like people back home, it's like it's a completely different story back home, though. It's like I don't want to say they don't care, but it's just like, oh damn, they'll say like, damn, bro, it's crazy, and then they'll go back to their regular, everyday life. But they'll also ask me like, are you okay? Are you doing well? And those types of questions. I know they care about me, but I don't think it's like a big deal to people back home.
Yeah, they really need the context. Like, I feel a lot of people who are foreigners relate to it because they do feel some, type of this like aggression from, being here sometimes.
Yeah.
So if you don't have that context,
Yeah, I agree. Like, if you're not here and if you don't really understand what's going on, it really doesn't have an effect over like someone else in like another country, to be honest.
Right.
For sure.
Man. I do have a question. You are a hip hop head, so when I say The Heart Part 5, what do you think?
I think the GOAT.
Man, he killed it. I do not. Oh man, I don't. If that's not
like
even
pretty amazing, especially what he did. And you're from are you from LA or?
Yeah, from LA, born in LA.
Yeah, man. So he definitely what he did, and it kind of solidified that he's like definitely one of the greatest in our generation, if not, well, I wouldn't say all time, but definitely his name is up there now.
Yeah. If you guys don't know what we're talking about Kendrick Lamar, and he just dropped The Heart Part 5, and he's about to release a whole album coming on Friday. I get this is unrelated, but really it is related because the first thing he says is all about perspective, know, and it's like, man, it's crazy.
Yeah, man. Yeah, it's crazy. And I saw some people mentioning that in the chat earlier about the Kendrick Lamar thing. Yeah. So yeah, I'm looking forward to him. He's definitely one of my favorite artists.
Oh yeah. That's definitely something to look forward to. The thing is, like, what he did was he basically, put himself in the shoes of every artist that he raps. Like, you saw Will Smith, you saw who else you saw? You saw Nipsey, you saw all these people, and it's basically he is everybody. And I feel like you kind of you do that for the people out here, who are Black and who do feel that, that aggression, or that, the way people react to you or how they treat you. People can all like kind of relate to you now, because now it's out there in the public and people see that. Because a lot of the time, all this stuff is being pushed under the rug, and nobody really witnesses what it's like being Black in China, right?
Yeah. And I think like also just this being out, it gives, like you said, it gives other people opportunity to look in the shoes of like a Black person. It creates a conversation that's always, it's kind of like a conversation that's avoided at times. So it kind of forces people to have this conversation now, like, hey, some of the things that goes on here, especially when it like towards negativity towards Black people, it has to be addressed, because everyone is like human beings, and it doesn't make sense to treat a particular like race of people in a negative type of way when people are just like trying to do the same thing, just like make a decent living out here.
Right. That's deep. That's deep.
Yeah.
Jacobie, thank you so much for coming out here, breaking down the knowledge for us, just giving us your perspective. Like as Multispective, that's what we're all about, and you have provided a perspective that we haven't gotten on our platform before. So we appreciate you so much.
Yeah, I really appreciate you being here, man. Like it's been such an honor having you here. The conversations have been amazing.
And I appreciate you guys for having me. It's definitely an honor for me, and and thank you for taking time out to ask me questions. And yeah, it was an honor answering these questions as well.
Yeah, we got you. Can we post your Instagram handles and your Twitter?
Yes, you can.
Yeah. So our producer does have it. So your Instagram, it's big_man. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, big_man_7066. And my Twitter is bigman7066 all together.
Yeah. If you guys don't see it in this video, it will definitely be in the description. Jacobie, thank you so much. It's an honor. And hopefully when this is all over, we can all kick it.
Oh, yeah, for sure. I'm looking forward to it. Thank you all again.
Have a great evening. There we go.
All right. Yep. His Insta, big_man_7066. Twitter, bigman7066. Go follow your boy. Again, thank you, audience, for being so,
active and energetic. Your questions have been amazing. You brought in so much great insight with these questions. So thank you so much for it. Yeah.
Definitely. We are nothing without you guys, and thank you for listening to everything that we put out. We hope you continue to be a part of our community, and we do have new content coming up, so stay tuned, guys.
Yep, and don't forget to subscribe, follow, like on our pages, and yeah, we'll see you again next week. Have a good one.